With the bye week here for Big Blue, I wanted to zoom out and take kind of a view from the top, a zoomed out view of this football team, and look ahead to the offseason. I'm going to take the seat of Joe Schoen, and I am going to map out a perfect offseason plan for the New York Giants. If the Giants do everything I say in this video, we'll be back in the playoffs next year. Let's talk about what the 2024 offseason is going to look like. The Giants are projected to have roughly $47.6 million in cap space. They can increase that number by cutting or restructuring certain contracts. The top, in my opinion, the top 2024 needs for the Giants. In my opinion, they got to get a new quarterback. I think they need to improve the offensive line. They need to add more playmakers to this offense. They need another edge rusher that's proven that you can put on the other side of Kayvon Thibodeau. That way, anything you get from Azeez Ojulari is just icing on the cake because at this point, he is an injury-prone player. And I put wide receiver on there again because I think the Giants need to add multiple wide receivers. Perfect off-season plan. Number one, I know some people aren't going to like this. I'm going to cut Darius Slayon, and I'm going to cut Mark Glowinski. We told you that the Giants have $46.5 million in cap space entering the offseason. If you cut Mark Glowinski and you cut Darius Slayon, and also if you cut Aaron Robinson, the New York Giants would have roughly $60.6 million in cap space. Giants have a whole lot of holes to fill. And they have some good players on this team that are free agents that they might need and might want to bring back. I think Mark Glowinski is an okay offensive lineman. He's not worth $5.7 million. I think Darius Slayon could be a really good number 3. But at the end of the day, with the limited route tree, the questionable hands, do I want to pay him $7 million next year? Or could I go find a replacement for $7 million? I would elect to use that money elsewhere. Number 2, I'm also going to franchise tag Saquon Barkley. I'm going to franchise tag Saquon Barkley. I know a lot of people are like, Marshall, why does he not get a long-term deal? 1, he's approaching 30 years old. 2, he plays the running back position. And in my opinion, I think it's beneficial and in the best interest of the New York Football Giants to keep Barkley on 1-year deals. We've seen he's injury prone. Missed 3 more games this year. He's missed games for a torn ACL. He's missed a lot of games because of an ankle. And we've seen how important he's been when he's played. Averaging over 4.2 yards per carry, 5 total touchdowns, starting to really use him in the passing game. And the Giants have been leaning on him a whole lot. And I think if you're going to bring in a new quarterback, which we might talk about in a second, having a proven running back like Saquon Barkley back there that demands the attention of every defensive coordinator every time they play the Giants could help that guy move along. I also think there are some key free agents the Giants should re-sign. I've been pretty vocal about the Giants letting a couple players go, like Xavier McKinney, Adoree Jackson. But right now, maybe I'm being soft. Maybe I'm being a little bit reactionary to the Giants winning 2 games in a row. Some of the key Giants free agents, I think they should be brought back. And I would bring back Xavier McKinney. And I'm not going to give him too much money. I would like to bring Adoree Jackson back. I'm not giving him a lot of money. I applaud Tyrod Taylor for what he did for the Giants when he subbed in. But if I'm going to have a backup quarterback on my team, I want him to be healthy. I want him to be a guy I can rely on. I think it's safe to say Tyrod Taylor has been injury prone over the last couple of years. I'd bring back Isaiah Simmons. I love what I've seen out of Ashawn Robinson. I'd bring back Ben Bredeson as a backup. He's not a starter. And then I'd bring back Jihad Ward. Really good chemistry with a lot of guys on this team. He's a leader, and he's a Wink Martindale disciple. When it comes to Xavier McKinney and Adoree Jackson, if they want too much money, I let them walk. But I would hope for shorter, prove it types of money for both those guys. If I had to say one more guy I wouldn't bring back, probably would be Adoree Jackson, just because I think he could command some decent coin in NFL free agency. I'd also pick up Tommy DeVito's team option. When you're a UDFA, you sign a 3-year non-guaranteed deal. Giants should pick it up, and he should be the backup next year. Or maybe even the third-string quarterback, because Daniel Jones is still going to be on this roster. But I think Tommy DeVito has done enough to earn another year of compensation for the New York Giants. All right, this is the big move. Draft a quarterback. You draft a quarterback in the first round. as we currently sit here on the bye week and the Giants have 4 wins and 8 losses, they own the number 6 pick in the draft. I don't think you could trade up to 1. I don't think you could trade up to 2. And you may not have to trade up from 6, 7, or 8 to get this guy. Draft Jayden Daniels, the LSU quarterback. The more and more I watch him, the more tape I study, the dude pops off the screen. He is extremely talented. He's extremely athletic. And when I watch him, I get Lamar Jackson vibes. And at the end of the day, you have a coach here that developed a guy that was like that. We'll get to that in a second. But my favorite thing about what Jayden Daniels has done in college is the progression from year to year. You look at the 2022 stats. His completion percentage went from 68.6 to 72.2. The passing yards went up over 1,000. The passing touchdowns almost tripled. And he cut down on INTs. But it's the yards per attempt that I'm a fan of. This isn't a dink and dunk quarterback. This is the quarterback of the number 1 offense in college football, pushes the ball downfield, averaging 11.7 yards per attempt. And did I mention that he is one of the best runners that college football has ever seen at the quarterback position? 885 yards last year, 11 touchdowns. The dude is going to rush for 1,300 yards this year and has 10 total touchdowns. He's extremely athletic. He's extremely talented. And I think he would fit like a glove in a Brian Daboll offense. Take the talented quarterback. Take the guy that's ceiling is unprojectable. Because if Jayden Daniels hits, he could be an MVP type of player in this league. And the reason you hired Brian Daboll was because of what he did with a raw, talented, uber athletic quarterback in Josh Allen. Can you do the same with Jayden Daniels? I'm a big fan of Daniels. Starting to fall in love with him more and more as a prospect. And I think if the Giants are going to draft a quarterback, it's going to be between one of these 3 guys. So I'll ask you, if you had to pick a quarterback for the Giants to draft, which one of these guys would you want to see? Jayden Daniels, Bo Nix, Michael Penix? Let me know what you think down below. I've got more steps in this rebuild the Giants must do if they want to get back to being a winning organization. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Factor. When you go to factormeals.com/GiantsChat50 and use the promo code GiantsChat50, you're going to get 50% off. This holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you fuel up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while tackling all your holiday to-dos. When you're too busy running around to plan lunch or dinner, Factor has you covered. They have lunches to go that are effortless, wholesome meals like grain bowls and salad toppers that are already ready to eat when you are on the go. No microwave is required. Head to factormeals.com/GiantsChat50 and use code GiantsChat50 to get 50% off. That's code GiantsChat50 at factormeals.com/GiantsChat50 to get 50% off. If you have a busy lifestyle like I do and you don't really have the time to cook fresh meals every day, Factor is going to be your best friend. I love it. Great food, efficient, and anytime I need it, it's there for me. That is factormeals.com/GiantsChat50 and use code GiantsChat50. Step number 5 in Marshall's perfect offseason plan. Sign a starting interior offensive lineman. I love Andrew Thomas. I love John Michael Schmitz. The Giants need to go out and sign a left guard or a right guard. And for the guys that I think are the best of the best that are going to be free agents, Connor Williams of the Miami Dolphins. I love his versatility. He could play guard, and he can also play center. I also am a big fan of Dalton Risner. I like Evan Brown, but I'm a huge fan of Robert Hunt. Robert Hunt is a right guard, and he has been great for the Miami Dolphins this year. You look at his career stats from Pro Football Focus, he's never been graded below a 66. And if you know anything about Pro Football Focus, the closer that you get to 70, the better that you are. Look at this year. A 73 overall offensive grade, 70.6 run block, and 73 pass block. He's allowed 1 sack in 453 blocking attempts. He's only allowed 1 QB hit, just 2 QB hurries, and 4 quarterback pressures. I think about a guy like Robert Hunt that could slot in at that right guard position and help the development of a young right tackle, and Evan Neal could really help boost this offensive line. You have to sign a starter at the guard spot in free agency with the potential $60 million that you have. Another step that I have, make a move for another playmaker. If you're going to draft a quarterback, you need to surround him with more weapons that the New York Giants have right now. We told you they're going to have $60 million in cap space. You're going to franchise tag Saquon Barkley. That's about $12 million. Probably spend another $10 million on Robert Hunt. Still have $30 million in cap space. How about you go and get a guy like T. Higgins? Maybe a veteran like Mike Evans. I'm a big fan of Calvin Ridley. Marquise Brown, not the biggest fan of him, but a really good player. And I also think Michael Pittman could be a guy that could catch the Giants' eye. Maybe you don't want to spend big money on a wide receiver. Maybe you're still hurt by the idea of Kenny Golladay. Giants will have 2 picks inside the top 65 in the NFL draft this year. 3 picks. I said 2. They have 3 picks, 2 second-rounders, 1 first-rounder. What about a speedster and a playmaker like Malik Neighbors? What about Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver from Ohio State who was great versus Michigan? Brian Thomas. Maybe you draft Jayden Daniels and you go get one of his teammates, Neighbors or Thomas. I'm a huge fan of Neighbors. I also like Troy Franklin out of Oregon. Jalen Polk, I think, is going to be a dominant outside receiver. But A.D. Mitchell out of Texas is a superstar in the making. Not sure if he'll last the second round, but that's a guy that anytime he touches the football, he could end up dancing in the end zone. What else do the Giants need to do? You need to draft 1 offensive lineman with the first 3 picks that you have. You have 2 second-round picks thanks to the Leonard Williams trade. You need to walk out with a quarterback. I wish you'd walk out with a playmaker, and then you walk out with a starting offensive lineman. You do those things, and then you close it out in free agency with sign another pass rusher. Get a veteran that can help Kayvon Thibodeau grow, that can play along on the opposite side of him, so you don't have to depend too much on Azeez Ojulari. You do that. And also, when I said sign an interior offensive lineman, I also wouldn't mind signing a veteran swing tackle to give Evan Neal some competition, because I think there should be 1 more investment at that right tackle spot. I don't think you can go in the next season with your only investment at right tackle being Evan Neal. So those are the things I would do. Make a couple cuts, franchise tag Saquon Barkley, draft Jayden Daniels, go get a playmaker in free agency or the draft, and beef up the offensive line. I'll ask you now to get out your red pen, and let's go back to school. Grade Marshall's perfect offseason plan. A, B, C, D, or F. I want to hear from you down in the comment section. As always, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you for tuning in to Giants Now by Chat Sports. If you want to talk more football, and you want to talk more about my perfect plan for the Giants this offseason, send me a DM over on Twitter @MarshallGreen_.